A beautiful place in Europe where you can actually feel like a rich person, because New York does not make you feel like a rich person.
I'm also living in Spain currently. I'm going to break down all of my costs a month to show you how absolutely ridiculously livable it is.
Here is some of the most expensive gas in the world.
Anybody notice the inflation prices recently? It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? And people are still traveling, especially Americans, and we're finding our way in your continent. Listen, Americans are finding out that it's very different when it comes to the cost of various things throughout Europe, and we are perplexed when we go back to our own home country and we're like, oh my gosh, why aren't things built this way here? And then we're also very grateful that certain things are not things we have to worry about in the United States. So this video is gonna be pretty interesting as we look at the cost differences between countries within Europe and the United States as a whole. This will be nothing short of a diabolical headache. I do want to clarify something before we get further in this video. A lot of you guys have been giving me some flack in the comments down below because you guys keep emphasizing Europe is a continent, not a country. I totally get that. I'm addressing Europe as a continent and also the countries within inside of Europe because Americans in general, myself included, whenever we travel through the threshold of that continent, it is a plethora of changes and experiences that feel similar when you move from country to country. Now, obviously the countries that are neighboring each other are going to be vastly different, but there are some similarities between them, and all of them have things that are completely different in the United States. So it's pretty cool looking at those things and highlighting that and being like, okay, cool. Like you can go anywhere in Europe and at least experience these things no matter what country you're going to. So I completely get that. Wanted to get that off the table. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Before we get started, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and check out this first video.
Guys, as an Italian who lives in America, there's one thing I will never understand in this country. A weekend in New York costs you $500 to $1,000. It can even cost you $10,000, depends what you want to do. Which means that a week in New York could cost you 5 grand. Guys, with 5 grand, I can spend a month in Italy like a bloody king. Why do you go to visit a city that is literally just concrete for a couple of days instead of spending 1 month in a beautiful place in Europe where you can actually feel like a rich person?
He's hitting this point home as far as the unfortunate pricing when it comes to traveling from the United States to Europe versus the other way around, and what it costs to vacation in any country in Europe versus vacationing anywhere in the United States, but specifically, let's say the most desirable places like Los Angeles, New York City, Miami, Chicago, things like that, you know? When you look at how much money is required to live like a decent experience out there in the United States, for instance, it's pretty astronomically high. I mean, you look at the pricing of everything and inflation is nuts, especially in New York. But my rebuttal, listen, New York City, that is the cultural pinnacle, I think, of the United States. It's like a melting pot on roids. There's so much you can do, so much you can see. Yes, it's expensive, but I do think you will get maybe not the best bang for your buck, but you will get an amazing set of experiences going to a place like that. It's definitely more expensive to have the same experience in America that you would have in Europe, but actually I don't think I've shown you guys where I'm at right now. I'm in Itaewon and whatnot. It's pretty cool. There's a lot to do over here, and it's interesting because right now I have about 50,000 won on me, and it's like about 34 bucks. And I do think that the amount of things I can do here with $34 is astronomically higher than what I can do in the United States with that same $34 in most places. Now, I can have like an amazing experience. In fact, I just taxied from my house to this location and whatnot, and I think it took about 2 hours. And in the States, I'm pretty sure it would be easily like 400 bucks. $400 or $500 for a 2-hour taxi ride, and that's on a discount. But here, it was literally only $50. So that 50,000 won I told you about, this area, I'm pretty sure I can get quite a bit with 50,000 won. Drinks, food, activities, there's arcades here, there's a restaurant across from me and whatnot. I'm telling you, United States, you're lucky enough to use that at the gas station. And you guys let me know how you feel about that. This video does not just apply to Europe, right? It could be anywhere in the world where you're able to travel and make the most out of your experiences with the money that you have on site. You don't need to have thousands of dollars to have a good time. You can just go out and enjoy yourself genuinely. And I love that about this place. However, he does have a very good point.
Because New York does not make you feel like a rich person. I know that all of you feel like that. Actually, New York is a perfect place to make you realize how broke of a peasant you are. I don't know, what beautiful privilege I have in this world is that I am not from this country. So I see everything from the eyes of an Italian. Like, people go to Miami to go to the beach. Same exact thing as New York. Take a flight, go to Sardinia, you have the best water in the world. You're gonna eat for 1 month like a king or a queen. You're gonna actually feel healthy instead of feeling like a barrel like most of people in this country.
Hey man, this man is roasting our lives over here. Relax, big dog, relax. Oh my God. I get it. Hear me out. Hear me out. I can't keep defending us like this. I can't. But he does bring up some pretty good points. You do go to a place like Sardinia and the water is absolutely phenomenal. I've never been, but I've looked at other people's experiences. I've had friends that have gone over there like, dude, you will never taste water that fresh ever in your entire life. You need to go out there and experience that, right? We got Flint, Michigan water in the United States. It's insane, man. There's so much going on right now. I don't even know where to start.
So definitely decided to take a little bit of a break and get some food here, man. Food and some coffee because I'm tired. Look at this. Boom. Bam. Matcha cake. Crazy, right? But the cake and the coffee combined, you won't believe this. The cake and the coffee combined were a whopping $5.50. Isn't that crazy?
Right now would not be the best time to travel to the United States. That is not a wild statement, honestly. From everything we've seen just in 2025 alone, this would not be the time frame to travel to the United States. We need to get it together, at least a little bit, right? We got some fixing up to do to make it more desirable to have tourists travel over here and stuff like that. If you guys try to have the same experience within the United States that we are having anywhere throughout Europe, the results will be polar opposites because of how we go about just about everything.
And you're gonna be outside of America, so you're gonna actually be exposed to a different reality, enlarging the minuity of your mind. Ciao.
Again, very valid points. I agree with all of what he said. I mean, he was speaking facts. There are so many awesome things to do within the United States. It's just, it comes with a caveat. It seems like everything comes with a weird caveat. Now, you can say the same for various places throughout Europe as well, but it's different. On one end, if you look at the entirety of Europe and you go there and you have an experience anywhere, right? You can stretch your dollar out there. You can stretch the hell out of your dollar and have an enjoyable experience on a budget. Try having a budget experience within the United States and tell me how that goes. For anybody that has had a budget experience where maybe you decided to stay in the United States for a week with just $500, right? Okay, 500 euro. How was that experience for you? And with that same 500 euro, right? For this example, for anybody that has traveled to any country in Europe, how was that 500 euro spent? Because every single time I've been to Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, even France one time, I can't tell you how many times I've spent in total for each of the trips over 500 bucks. I can't, because I stay at for like weeks at a time, right? The most I've spent all together for food, especially food, transportation, things like that, all together might have been $300, might have. Now, the most expensive part of my experiences going to Europe were the flights over there. That's it. Once I got there, I was in good hands. And because no one can take a month off work. That's why we go to New York Saturday through Sunday and spend money on Concrete City. And see, that's one of our biggest issues right now. Companies are getting entirely too comfortable paying the people too little and making them work too much, okay? We barely have time to take vacation every year, so we have to be very selective with where we decide to go. And obviously, we know that things are expensive, so we might as well have the time of our lives and drive ourselves into debt. So while we can't afford the experiences that we indulge ourselves in, that's why we have a credit system over here in the United States. When people from other countries come down here and stuff, and they budget and they're like, damn, like, this is very expensive and blah, blah, blah. We have pretty decent experiences ourselves, but the likelihood that we're paying for those experiences with credit, it's pretty high. It's around $1,000 a person to fly to Europe and come home unless you live in a really big East Coast city, but so many people I know would rather half, let alone the process it takes to get a passport to travel internationally and stuff like that. So people will find it easier to travel within the United States, not leave, and deal with what we've been dealing with our entire life. It's easier to deal with what you're familiar with, right? And like, although some people do dream of traveling abroad and having those experiences that they get to see in videos like this, where I'm like, hey, look at this and look at this and what you're missing out on and what is over there and vice versa. People don't have the opportunities to do those things, unfortunately. But for the people who do, they get to bring those those experiences back and let them know, hey, look, like I know you only want to spend this amount of money, but if you save a little bit more, maybe you can have a life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime experience in this European country, and then come back and then tell everybody about it and maybe internalize some of the things you appreciated and apply that to your daily life. But there's so much to do. All of it's expensive, but the options in New York are endless as long as you're not caught in traffic, which is also very true, which is why the public transportation system over there is pretty effective. I would take that if I traveled to New York, for sure. I mean, it's good. I don't think it's as good as Chicago, but it is very good, for sure.
One difference between airports in America and airports in Europe. And I don't mean Europe like as a one country. I mean like all the airports I've ever been to in Europe. This here, these luggage cards, free in Europe. Here, $6, JFK. What? Every European country I've ever been to, I've been to 44 countries. Those are free at the airport, free. $6 here in New York City.
So you know how I said earlier, you guys get on me about comparing the entirety of the United States with all of Europe? It's things like this. There are things that are just normal in every single European country that are not normal at all in the United States. And this is one of them. Might not seem like a big deal to you guys, but for us, we're like, what the hell? We're expecting to pay for these carts, right? When we get to an airport within the United States, and we're like, okay, cool. Make sure you got a spare $6, $10, whatever to use these carts. But when you travel to any country in Europe, you're like, whoa, these are free? My cousin is a flight attendant and states that working international flights is 100 times better than working domestic flights. Better manners. Oh my gosh. This is the start of a rant right here. So if you guys got popcorn, a snack or something, please go grab that if you don't have one already, because I have something to talk about. Every single time I have traveled internationally anywhere, it has been nothing short of a phenomenal experience. Not one singular horrible experience internationally. Now there were some experiences where I was like, oh, okay. Like the worst experience I think I've had. Okay, so there was a period of time where I'm like, oh, I want to experience what it's like flying first class with different airlines internationally. And I flew with Lufthansa and I wasn't a fan. If you want the true German experience, then Lufthansa will show you a true German experience. Outside of that, very amazing, incredible experiences, and particularly with the staff and the mannerisms. Everybody's so polite, so respectful. They don't feel like you're nagging them or anything, or you're in the way or whatever. It feels great. And then of course the amenities and stuff that come with flying economy. Insane, right? Every single time I've traveled, and let's say like I get in the country and I'm taking the train or doing whatever, it's been incredible. But I have the same experience, like doing the same thing in the United States. Oh my God, astronomically worse. No exaggeration, astronomically worse. Like when it comes to the quality of things, the quality is terrible. It's terrible. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to see stains and gunk and all kind of wild stuff on the aircrafts that I'm flying on, or when I'm in the airport waiting for the aircraft and stuff. The airports are very soulless. I mean, for the most part, they just, they're pretty mid. Now, there are some airports that are pretty cool in the United States, but I'm like, man, you know, I didn't realize that there were levels to this shit. Miami Airport, it's $9. All I can say is capitalism, man. America equal capitalism. That's all I can really say. $9 is insane work, but lines up with what I said earlier. Have an extra $10 on you so you can go ahead and pay for that airport card. Paying for the bathroom sucks though. For those that have been watching my channel for, I don't know, the last 6 years or so, you may have heard me time and time again complain about paying to go to the restroom. And I still feel some type of way about it, but not that much anymore because I got to go through that experience. Yes, is it inconvenient sometimes? Absolutely, because usually I did not carry change at all on me. Like I didn't start carrying cash on me again until I started traveling internationally. So I carry some coins. So if I do have to go to the bathroom, I have a little something with me to pay to go to the bathrooms and stuff. But most of the places I've paid to go to the bathrooms and are very clean. I do think that going to the bathroom should be free, right? Like I'm in Korea right now and it's interesting because I thought, okay, cool, maybe I have to pay for the bathroom here. Nah, the bathrooms are free and they're clean. They're clean as hell. Now in the United States, a lot of the free bathrooms, they're free, but the public bathrooms where the whole sole purpose of that establishment is just to use the bathroom, they can look real rough. You go to restaurant bathrooms and things of the nature, those are relatively clean too because you have a staff that's their job to clean the bathrooms and stuff. Another thing that I used to complain about a lot that I don't at all, in fact I praise it, is sparkling water. Now I love tap water. Tap water is number one, okay? But I was aggressively against sparkling water for a long time. You guys told me about it. You guys told me sparkling water is amazing, it's better than tap water. And I disagreed until I went to Germany and tried it. And I'm like, okay, hold on. you might have a point here. Now, initially I did not like it. And then the more I drank it, I'm like, man, I kind of prefer this low key. It's kind of a treat now from time to time. I'm like, oh, cool. Sparkling water. I feel a little bit bougie drinking that, honestly. Does anybody else feel bougie drinking sparkling water?
I live and work in Spain, making roughly 1,000 euros a month, which is...
So my friend sent me this and was asking me if it's true because I'm also living in Spain currently, and it's 100% true. So much to the point that I'm going to break down all of my costs a month to show you how absolutely ridiculously livable it is. Rent, 325 euro. Utilities, 30 euro. Food for 1 month, 150 euro. And I kind of spend a lot on food compared to my friends, so that's saying something.
I'm sorry, what? Utilities is 30 euro. One interesting thing being in South Korea, I'm actually living a pretty good life here. It's insane because the cost of living here is ridiculously cheap compared to the United States, and you can do far more. You can stretch the hell out of your dollar here, right? And it's nuts. So the utilities I was paying altogether, I included my utilities, internet, electricity, trash, gas, all that stuff. Altogether would be about a little over $1,000 a month. Sit on that for a second. A little over $1,000 a month. Guess how much money I'm paying here monthly for my utilities combined. I can leave all the lights on, I can leave all the water running every single day for a month, and you use my internet, max it out every time. Just take a wild guess. The most I've ever paid here, $300 a month. That is a fraction of what I used to be paying for utilities. It's insane. There's a problem, obviously, in the United States, and that's why we make these videos. Because good Lord.
Saying something. Phone bill plus Wi-Fi, 27 euro a month. Gym, 30 euro a month.
So if we look at her breakdown between the internet and her utilities, because she does not factor the internet as part of her utilities, it's basically $57, which is still diabolically cheap compared to even where I'm at right now. That's insane. And that's amazing. That's incredible. What? Like, how fast is the internet though? I don't know. Maybe it's fast. Maybe it's just depending on the area within Spain. Don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below. I know nothing. And if you look at her total breakdown, it comes out to 562 euro a month, which is roughly, if I'm guesstimating, about 700 USD. That's cool. That's actually really cool. That's beyond livable. And you have a little extra money to do what you want to do. Go out to eat somewhere, whatever. And mind you, she factored in the fact that she spends 150 euro on food, and that's her eating a lot. Now, I eat a lot. Okay, I eat a lot. I'm a hungry hippo. Okay, I eat all the time. So I spend about $150 every 3-4 days on food.
Damn.
Okay, and this is not going out. This is buying groceries. It's interesting, like the breakdowns and the cost of things.
One singular bus ride is 40 cents. I also get breakfast out every single day, and it's literally affordable to do that. I get like a sandwich with tomato and tuna. Don't knock it until you try it. It's really good.
One of my Irish homies used to have this every morning for breakfast and stuff. I'm like, man, I thought it was weird until I tried it. It honestly is good. She's speaking facts. I know she's in Spain, but I had an Irish homie that did this, and I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. Tomato and tuna, like on a tomato tuna sandwich, I guess. Honestly, great. It slaps. You threw some cheese on there too. Woo-hoo.
And then I get a cafe con leche, which is practically like a latte. Every morning, the total is $3.30.
Listen, all that stuff she just listed, that would have easily been $30.30, not $3.30, right? The coffee that you're purchasing alone in the United States on average would cost you like just a regular normal size cup of coffee is roughly $10 to $15, which is nuts. Okay, and that's not like anything special, not a frappe, cappuccino, blah, 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 chino. Just like your standard is like basically about $10 to $15 after taxes. And then when you get all fancy what you drink, it gets a little bit more pricey. So imagine pairing that with like a pastry or some type of food and whatnot. Your total is gonna come out to about $30, which sucks. So having the meal she just had for that cheap is... I can't process that. I'm about to have a heart attack.
$3.30. You can't even get a coffee. You can't even get half a coffee for that in the United States. I'm in Granada, and a glass of wine is costing me like 3 euros. And the thing about Granada is you get a tapa with it for free. So what my friends and I will do whenever we want to go out is we'll get 3 glasses of wine, and that comes with 3 tapas, which pretty much is dinner. And then you're literally spending €9 on 3 drinks.
You know, I think part of people getting upset when they see these videos and stuff, right? Like, you know, Americans watching these sometimes are like, man, why is it always America bad? I'm like, well, maybe because some of the things we have in the United States could be better. Could be better. I'm just saying it could be better. Like, what is the harm in making the prices like this? Right? Inflation. That's what it is. Inflation. That's the harm, actually. Once we can figure out this inflation thing, hopefully we can bring ourselves to that level, because that is something that we can only fathom. That is insane. Now, for you guys watching, that might not be that crazy, but hearing that to me is insane.
And the wine doesn't make you as hungover because it doesn't have all these additives that the United States has. I also only work 14 hours a week.
Brother. What did she say? She only works 14 hours a week? Huh? And she's living like a queen? What the freak? This is insane. That right there is exactly what I'm talking about. Traveling. So you can witness and experience something like this. So when you do go back and you know, you're residing back where you came from, you're like, okay, cool. How can I make my home country better? You can identify issues in your area, and you can constructively come up with a plan to make things better. And I think part of making the area you reside better is identifying the things that you are missing, the things that you are lacking. I didn't even know for the longest time that Americans were being shorted vacation time, right? I did not know that. I thought it was normal to only have 2 weeks of vacation annually. Annually, not monthly, annually. And you guys are taking months off and getting paid. And when you have babies, you get diabolically long maternity leave, paternity leave. What?
Hours a week. Yeah. No, that's not normal to Spain. It's just like with the program I'm with.
Okay, I'm pretty sure at this point somebody in the comments already said it, because I was freaking out about how much she was working in the week. I'm like, ain't no way she was just working 14 hours in a week. I'm glad she clarified that that was not normal, because brother, what? Only 14 hours? That you could work a 12-hour shift and then the front end of an 8-hour shift, and that's it. You got the rest of the week off. Yeah, so she's working with a program, so obviously a lot of what she's saying, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. I think, I don't know, what do I take with a grain of salt from what she just said? You guys let me know in the comments down below, because some of it, a lot of it seems too good to be true. What is truth? Let me know in the comments down below, like how much are your utilities on average? How much do you spend on food monthly on average? What is the cost of rent for the people who live in expensive areas and not really expensive areas? What do you guys spend on rent monthly? How far can you stretch $500 in your country?
I'm walking everywhere, like it's always sunny outside. Not to mention everyone's literally so friendly. The party life is so much better. Not to mention they got siestas. Come on. Like the best way I would describe living in this country is you feel like a human being. Everything shuts from 2 to 5, 5:30ish every single day, so everyone can go home and relax, eat a meal, take a nap.
And I think this is also what you guys were talking about when you're like, hey, James, Europe is a continent, not a country. Each country got their own things, and boom, the siesta. That's not in every European country at all. Okay, that's not a thing in a lot of European countries. Some European countries have that, some don't. I know Italy definitely has siestas. Spain apparently has siestas as well. Spain, I definitely did hear is known for having a party culture out there. Italy has a pretty interesting party culture as well. Not as much as Spain though, from what I've heard.
Most things are shut on Sundays, so you always have that day off to just rest. There's fruterias on every single corner where you're getting, like I literally get all my fruits and vegetables for the whole week for like €6 from the fruteria, and they're like amazing quality. I cannot stress enough, if you have the opportunity to come to Spain and just experience life here, whether it's just like short-term, long-term, do it.
I absolutely agree. The best way to form an opinion is to experience it yourself. Do people not realize that the prices are so cheap because the salaries are trash? Well, I did not look into how much people are getting paid out there. I assume that they cannot be getting paid that much. So I guess it balances out. If you look at how cheap things are, and I think that's one big thing that I've done myself, and I'm like, whoa, it's so cheap over here compared to where I'm from. But then you have to look at what the job market looks like and how much people are getting paid when they do said job. It's probably not going to be as much as the place that I'm coming from. you know? And the prices match accordingly most of the time. Inflation hits everybody differently. So sometimes, for instance, in the United States, right, we have a lot of jobs that pay very well, but the cost of living is insane. It's through the roof. So although you could be making a lot of money, it might not feel like that because it's still, your pockets are hurting when you go on a grocery shopping trip. Your pockets are hurting when you have to pull over and get some gas. Your pockets are hurting when you have to cover your medical bills. Also, no tipping culture. Tipping culture is the literal worst thing to ever touch this entire planet, specifically the United States. I don't understand why I can't even say I don't understand. I understand why we took it and ran with it. It is another capitalistic ideology that we have abused into the earth's core, but it's bad and everybody's sick of it. I mean, dude, self-checkouts have tip options now. It's kind of crazy. Why am I tipping a self-checkout counter? That doesn't make any sense. Living with a roommate, y'all need to state that in your videos. Yeah, I do think we have to take some of these videos with a grain of salt because we don't know the entirety of those situations. Like, she could be living with a roommate. I'm pretty sure she is living with a roommate, so that greatly changes literally everything. And then what type of job are you working? Where are you living? What is the norm in the area that you're living at? And what is your norm based on your circumstances and stuff? And then you can kind of cross-reference their experience with what your experience possibly might be based on what you currently have available to you. So it's just interesting because I do think, like, when people do like, oh my God, this is so much cheaper, blah, 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 blah. Now, as far as, like, for instance, food, I always talk about that because I love food. Who doesn't love food? Eating food and feeling great, even though you spent less for higher quality food in whatever place you travel to, that's cool, right? But when it comes to like how cheap things are, you got to also take into consideration how the pay is in the country that you're talking about. Like, is the pay decent? If it's decent and the food's still like that, it's insane. And the fact that the food's still cheap for you yourself traveling there and whatnot, and you being able to stretch your dollar out there, great, amazing. But again, like, there's a lot of factors that go into this.
One thing that Americans never think about is how cheap our gas prices are. Here in Europe, it is the complete opposite. Here is some of the most expensive gas in the world. Behind me, you'll see a gas station and you'll see that it says 1.54. Of course, that is euros. That's about $1.76. And you might be saying, wow, that's really cheap for a gallon of gas. But here in Europe, you don't do gallons, you do liters. And in one US gallon, there's about 3.7 to 3.8 liters of gas, meaning that gas here is roughly $6.70 per gallon. Now, of course, guys, Europe is big. It's not the same price everywhere. For example, the most expensive is in Iceland, where 1 gallon is roughly $8, and the cheapest is in Belarus, where roughly 1 gallon is $2. But the average is about $5.50 per gallon if you want to drive in Europe. But if you are an American traveling to Europe, remember this: 2 items are always cheaper in the United States. 1, gasoline, and 2, electronics.
Yikes! Now I got to experience that one for myself. Gas was insane. Them prices in Germany are no joke, bro. They are no joke when it comes to gas. Oh my Lord. Now electronics, I'm not sure if I can verify that or not, but I have at least experienced the gas thing firsthand. But I want to see what these comments had to say. Our first comment says, America wildly subsidizes gas prices. Don't see Exxon paying for the US Marines posted on the oil terminals in Kuwait. Good point. But I will say something. I don't think the gas prices are necessarily cheap in the United States, right? I mean, they're cheaper for sure, way cheaper than Europe, but the prices still hurt. They still hurt. This is why we take small cars with small engines. That would make a lot of sense. I have seen an uptick of tiny cars throughout Europe, and I wondered why. Part of that has to do with how Europe is just generally built. I mean, if you look at the infrastructure in all of those countries, they've been around since the dawn of the dinosaurs, damn near. The roads are real narrow and buildings are real old, so cars that can be driven through those streets are generally going to be a little bit smaller. Like, you're not going to see a Ford F550 cruising the streets of an old town in a random country in Europe, dude. Like, it's not going to work. You forgot to mention that the gas octane, the number on the button you guys press is way higher over here. 100 octane gas is premium. For you guys, it's around 91. That's also an interesting point to make too. So that clearly notes that there's a higher quality of gas as well, but still doesn't change the fact that gas is just so fucking expensive, bro. And I guess I'm not sure where you guys are getting your gas from, so I can't really speak on that. But if I were to ask that the North Sea pipeline thing or whatever, isn't that like the whole gas route, whatever was going on within the last like year or two or something like that? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below, because I remember that was all over the news. It was a big deal, like Russia cutting off the North Sea pipeline. So if that has anything to do with that, let me know in the comments, because I am very unaware of that.
I saw a TikTok yesterday about prices of food at a grocery store in the US.
This is what I got. Some cereal, some milk, laundry detergent, deodorant, and toothbrushes. 5 items. Local Target.
I'm taking this video with a grain of salt out the gate. If you guys know anything about the different places in the United States that you can shop at, this man shopped at Target to buy these things. He knows damn well if he's struggling. I'm not sure if he's struggling, right? And if this is going to be a cost comparison video, I'm assuming. If you're buying from Target, it's going to be expensive out the gate, because Target in general is a very expensive store to shop at. Like, you shop there if you have it really good. And maybe he does have it really good, but you can't complain about the prices if you're shopping at Target. You need to be shopping at Walmart, chief. It's a discount store over at Walmart. So I'm questioning what I'm about to see in this video.
I live in a suburb of a medium-sized city. It's not like I, bought this stuff in Times Square. 5 items. Guess how much it was? Just guess. Well, here's the receipt. That's today, December 1st, 2023. $51.05.
Like I said, he can't complain. He shopped at Target. He clearly does not know anything about budgeting, so.
Got 5 items. Detergent, deodorant, a 2-pack of deodorant, milk, cereal, and a 4-pack of toothbrushes. Let's compare the prices with France. I'm at the grocery store right now. I'm at Carrefour in Paris. I wouldn't say it's an expensive store. I like their prices. It's my favorite grocery store in France. So let's try to find the exact same items. Sizes are a little bit different. But I'm going to try to compare as closely as possible with the exact same items.
This is creative. I think this would work very well if someone were to go shopping at a Walmart or an Aldi in the United States and then compare it with someone shopping anywhere in any other country in Europe at a store that also has relatively cheap prices for that country, and then compare the two to see, like, where the food is cheaper. You know what I mean? I think that would be more accurate. But this is still a pretty cool concept.
Let's see what I find. First up, the 2-pack of Dove deodorant. If he paid $12.79 for a 2-pack of Dove deodorant, look at these prices. Nivea 1 is only $2.14.
Again, he shopped at Target. Need I say more? Need I say more? They will charge you an arm, a leg, and a goat sacrifice for a pencil if they could. I'm surprised he paid $12 for a pack of deodorant that would have been $2 at a discount store.
Menon 1 is $3.58. I don't see men's Dove, but I do see women's Dove. Here is a 2-pack of women's Dove for $8.18.
Also, one big thing that I have to keep in mind looking at this is the conversion rate. When we look at the prices that she's looking at, this is in euro. So that packet that she looked at for the women's deodorant that was $8.18, that's basically about $12 as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's basically the same price. It's basically about $12 US as well. So you got to keep that in mind. Whatever her total is, I hope she's factoring in the conversion rate of USD to the euro.
I can't find Cheerios for the life of me. However, let's compare Frosted Flakes and Corn Pops, because these are the maxi sizes. These are the big jumbo family size. And Frosted Flakes are $3.75. Corn Pops are $3.95.
Okay, so she is putting the conversion on the screen. Cool. I was just concerned for a quick second that that was not going to be the case. I'm like, oh my God.
I don't see any cereal that's more than that. Okay, next up, he had a 4-pack of toothbrushes for $9.99. Here's a 4-pack of toothbrushes for $1.93. Here's a 4-pack of toothbrushes, $2.15.
Again, that man shopped at Target. He was cooked from the start.
15. Oh, and here's the most expensive one right here, a 4-pack for $3.03. So out of all of these 4-packs here, the most expensive one is $3.03. Okay, his detergent was $15.99. So the largest one here is this guy for $11.31. And it looks about the same size. But you can get them much cheaper. Like, I would probably buy this one, 2-in-1.
Listen to what she just said.
But you can get them much cheaper.
You can get them much cheaper. He could have got them much cheaper if he went to a discount store. He didn't. He went to one of the commercial big wig stores that rip people off. I hope that man's not a financial advisor, because oh my gosh. He recklessly spent $50 on that few of items that he had in that video, man. Oh my goodness. That could have easily been fixed. He could have easily gotten all of those items for probably around $30.
One for $9.50. So milk. He paid $3.89 for a gallon of milk.
I would just like to point something out that I'm definitely not used to. And I got to see this for myself when I traveled to Germany. I did not know that it was normalized to pull out an individual juice box or carton of milk if it's in a big package, or a bottle of water and pay for just the bottle of water and not the package it came in. Now, specifically in Germany, this is normal. I did not know that. I would go walk by different aisles, like the juice or the beer aisle, and there would be packs of juice that were like busted open, right? And maybe it was a 6-pack of Coca-Cola and 4 of the 6 were missing, and then 2 were inside this busted open packet of Coca-Cola. I'm like, good Lord. So in this video, I'm looking at that and getting flashbacks, because there's milk in packages and the packages are ripped open, and you can tell that some of those packages are like, you know, a 6-pack of milk or like a 4-pack of milk, and then 1's missing or 3 are missing. And that's normal, because you just pay for what you're paying for, right? If you only need 1 carton of milk, you can just buy the 1 carton of milk. And I wish it was like that so bad in the United States. There are so many times where I'm like, dude, I just want 1 can of soda, and I want to crack open the box where all the soda is and pull out 1 can and pay for just that, but you would get arrested. So
Now, France doesn't have gallons. They go by liters. So it's 3.7 liters to a gallon. So I will calculate 3 to 4 containers, or 3 to 4 liters. See how much it costs. This is the milk that I get, and it's $1.12 per liter. So it's about the same price. Wow, look at those prices. I'm not surprised at all. I estimated between 25 and 30 for the French prices. Now the 23.46, those were the lower end items that I probably would buy. And then the 30.95 were the comps to his items, as closely as I could get to his items. But wow, look at that. Look at the savings. I've been telling you, France is affordable, even Paris.
Well, this is very true, and if you do the conversion to US dollars, it is cheaper, not by that much. The individual in the first video messed up by buying his groceries at a really big retail store. So it doesn't make any sense. He didn't just go to a more affordable location in the first place and buy the same groceries that are clearly cheaper, but he just doesn't know how to budget his money very well. When people forget about the currency exchange as a factor, that is true. You have to convert what you're looking at to US dollars when you're making this comparison. So I'm glad she did, because it at first didn't seem like she was doing that. Throughout the video, I'm like, okay, cool. She is pulling up like what the US dollar equivalent would be to whatever that price is. And it did wind up being still cheaper than what that gentleman purchased in the United States, but I'd let you guys know why over and over again. So very good point. Very good point. Pay attention to the currency exchange, and prepare for that before you travel, by the way, because a lot of people don't do that. Dude's just bad at shopping. And that's what I am saying. He is bad at shopping. This guy does not know how to properly get what he needs to get. Now, maybe it could have been a convenience thing. Maybe he could have saved some money, but Target was closer, so he went there instead. Be better with your money, all right? Be better with your money. There is no reasonable reason that prices prices should be what they are right now in the United States. Now, that statement I do agree on. Prices have soared so high, even in the discounted stores, that it is borderline unaffordable right now to eat as well as most Americans were eating even 5 years ago. And that's very unfortunate. So when we look at the cost differences between random European countries and the United States as a whole, we do get to see some very eye-opening differences. The cost of living throughout Europe is very affordable no matter where you go. Cost of living in the United States right now especially is not great. It's not good. You need to have a very good job and you need to pray to the gods that inflation doesn't keep whooping our asses. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts and opinions are on this topic. And if you guys have had experiences buying things in the United States versus buying things in Europe, and if you guys have had the inverse experience, let me know what those experiences were in the comments down below. Maybe some interesting tips and tricks on how to stretch the dollar even farther where you're from.